Hey, shalom. You made it. And so did I. Baruch Hashem. So glad to see you all here. Shalom Yakar, Brenda, Pereira, Thea, Harrison, Vicky, Sharon, Tet, Pei, Daniel, Kenneth. Up early over there in Texas, Kenneth. MB Safronovitz. Annie. All right. We got our minion. Yep, I'm showing 10 here, so glad you all are here. Let's say a quick prayer and we will be started. Please let me know what the sound is like. I turned up the gain a bit, have the microphone a little bit closer. Hey, Shalom, Jem, and Michael. Still running on my backup microphone, but I think we've been making improvements. Yeah, so let me know. Does it sound echoey or tinny? If so, maybe I'll make an adjustment. And I'm going to say the prayer right now. Aviheinu malkeinu ken yiratzon ki bayom hazeh יחיה עמנו אדוני, תשלח נא את רוחך עלינו, אנחנו רוצים לראות את פניך. ויהי אדוני, תשלח נא את דעתך עלינו אדוני, כי אנחנו יכולים ללמוד טוב בעיניך. לעולנו ולך יהיה כל הכבוד, בזכות ישוע המשיח. All right. Sean's up early over there in Oregon, USA. Very early. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Achikha. Also, Michael up early. All right. So, welcome to Congregation Simchat Hashem. This is our second drosh for today. The first drosh is the elder drosh, and this one I'm doing. And we're really glad to have you. So, if you'd like to be members of our congregation, if you're someone who's been watching for a while and you don't have a home where you're at, then we would like to invite you to be, what would you call it, like remote members? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So if you're in the Philippines, we are inviting our family for this Monday for our Passover Seder. You need to make sure to have informed one of the elders, or usually, let's see, Trisha usually coordinates a lot of this stuff, that you're coming to handle the tickets and all that stuff. If you're in economic need, there are sponsors available. So, but yeah, so that's happening Monday. If you're one of our remote members or you're just visiting remotely, we will be broadcasting the Seder. We'll be sending the Seder online. We will be live. All right. And if one of the elders could maybe chime in with what time they think our Seder will actually start, that I can share it here. Otherwise, I'll just post it on the community tab on the YouTube channel. All right. Oh yeah, Harrison's just asking about that. Great. Yeah, of course. Harrison and his lovely wife over there in Thailand, you are very welcome to join us. We'd love to have you guys. Yofi. That's fine. The only thing that we say, okay, that's fine. Anybody can join online who likes. If you want to join in person, we do have some requirements about your Torah observance and stuff. You know, that Shabbat keepers and all that kind of stuff. But online, anybody can watch online. That's fine, live. But if you're here in the Philippines and you want to be at the actual event in meet space, they call it, then please check with us first, because we do have requirements because the Torah puts requirements on who can do the Passover with you, right? So we want to make sure that it's someone who's in Torah Hashem, who's a Sabbath keeper, who keeps the Moedim, who has joined our people, basically, right? So we don't want to violate that. I know that a lot of groups use Passover as kind of an outreach time. We don't do that. This is for family. This is for the community, and I think the Torah is pretty clear about that. That it's for the ones that are. It even talks about being circumcised and stuff, right? So it makes it very clear, like, what the requirements are to partake of the Passover. And we don't want to be politically correct and make stuff just sound great and just involve everybody just for the sake of outreach, because you really are not allowed to undermine the Torah Hashem for the sake of outreach. Otherwise, what is your outreach, really? Yeah, Harrison, I always thought it was meat space, like MEAT, like flesh, like you're seeing meat bags like yourself like ourselves walking around. But it could be meeting, like actually meeting. Yeah. All right, Yofi, let's get to it. We have an interesting parashah today, and we are going to be going through the book of Obadiah today, the entire book, because a lot of it is part of the Haftarah, and it's not that big of a book. And I just kind of felt led to do that. I thought, you know what, let's really hit it hard today. So what we will do is we'll do part of the Torah portion. We'll finish the current chapter up, and then we will jump to the Haftarah. So the Torah portion is Numbers chapter 20, verses 14 through 22, verse 1. Right? And it's kind of strange. You might think sometimes, why does it end? Like, why doesn't it just end with 21, the end of 21? Why does it do 22, verse 1? Well, that's because the modern breakup of chapters and verses is pretty much a Christian tradition, and they weren't always concerned about the extra markings that were in the margins, right? Like saying, hey, this is a Torah portion. And so, like, we have those markings, those are this Torah portion, this is where it ends. Even the ancient triennials that we do, right, are usually marked in the Masoretic text. And so they just kind of, who cares about what they had to say? There's silly Jews who maintained the text and kept it for us. Who cares what they had to say? It's not important. So they just put the chapters and verses where they thought it matters, right? And that has kind of become tradition, often even in the Jewish Bible, even in Jewish, like, ironically, so influenced, kind of back influenced by Christianity back into Judaism. So really, chapter 22 should have started with verse 2, right? So it's not that the parashah is wrong, it's that the later organization techniques were wrong. Yeah, all right, Harrison likes that. Avadia in total, yes. All right, Obadiah. And let's see. The Haftarah is Obadiah. Really, it's like the first 18 verses fit well, but I thought it's only 6 more and we'll do the whole thing, so let's just do the whole thing. Oh, and the Torah portion is called, sorry, I bypassed it, Vayishlach Moshe Malachim. Then angels sent messengers, or it can mean then Moshe sent angels. Right? Either way works. All right. How are we doing on? All right, we're growing a little bit on who's watching. Okay, let's get started. So Numbers chapter 20, verse 14. Vayishlach Moshe malachim mekadesh el melech Edom. Then shalach Moshe sent malachim, messengers, mikadesh, from Kadesh. And if you're not used to it, the words that I have in gray, these are proper names, proper nouns. So they'll be names usually. El melech Edom, unto the king of Edom. Construct chain there, the king of Edom. amar achikha Yisrael, Atah yadata et kol hatila asher metzatenu. Okay. Amar achikha Yisrael. Such said, or thus saith, your brother Israel. Atah yadata. You know. So this is special emphatic here. And I won't be marking up as much as last week to give kind of a breather for those who aren't too heavy into the Hebrew, but it's there. So even if you're in Hebrew, this can be kind of a, like a more intensive thinking about it yourself review. But I will just circle that this guy's, emphatic. Wait, why is it doing that color? I noticed. Oh, hold on. I didn't run my script. There we go. That's why it's the wrong color. Usually I use magenta for emphasis. So you see the ta here? So we have two atahs. So the first one is emphasis. So you yourself know. Atah yadata. Yadata means you know. Atah yadata means you know. Okay? We don't translate that way. Et, we don't translate. Kol hatila'a asher metzatnu. All of the tribulation which has overtaken us. Let me know, how's the sound if I talk while I'm drawing today? I really hate forcing myself to be silent while I'm drawing because we can use that time for learning. So the verb is matzah. Matzah means to find, but we learned from Ugaritic with the same verb, there the primary meaning is to overtake or to reach, right? So you could say the trouble that has found us. That's also fine to translate that way. trouble, tribulation. This word is interesting, the tila'ah, and we're going to see it later when we tie things together with the apostolic writings, that this is the word that gets translated into Jewish Greek as tribulation, right? So if you look at the Septuagint, same word, right? Yay, no cutting out. Look at that. Wonderful. Baruch Hashem. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Alfred. Great, great. Okay. So the same word as tribulation, the tila'ah. That one. The amorphous blob. Verse 15. וירדו אבותינו מצרימה ונשב במצרים ימים רבים. And notice here, to the Hebrew students, we have this hey at the end of Mitzrayim, at the end of Egypt. That's what I was talking to you guys about. For those of you who participated in our prophets class, who are there on Wednesday nights when we do our directed Hebrew immersion in the prophets. Right now we're working through 1 Kings. Later it will be some other book from the prophets. I pointed out that we noticed that the writer of 1 Kings, he avoids using this directional hey that we see there at the end. This guy. He would just write Mitzrayim. But the Torah is better about keeping up with, well, Torah grammar. So the hey here means direction towards Egypt. So whenever you're going towards something, even if it's faced towards the earth, it'll say artsah. Eretz is like earth or ground, and artsah, it'll have that hey at the end, direction towards it. It's called the hey lekal for anybody who cares about that. Okay. So vayeirdu. So avoteinu, our ancestors, yeredu, they went down Mitzrayim to Egypt. Vaneshiv, and we dwelled be Mitzrayim in Egypt. Notice here it's Mitzrayim, over here Mitzrayim, right? See, be in. I'll mark that. Might as well. I'm not going to get too crazy with marking, but just. I know some of you are too busy during the week to join us in our immersion stuff, so I'd like to give you a little bit of Hebrew meat, at least on Shabbat. Okay, in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. So here we have Mitzrayim, that's Egypt. Oops, I didn't mean to write over the vowels. And here we have Mitzrayim, that's Egypt, but with the ha at the end. So this one's got the b at the end, and this one has the ha at the end. Okay. So if you can at least read, even if you don't know a lot of words, it's good if you can start getting to where you can break words apart to see, okay, this guy here, he's got a bait attached to the front, so you can pick out, okay, Mitzrayim, I know that word, Mitzrayim. And, okay, here it's got a hey at the end. Okay, great. Or here, yada, I've heard of that before. And the ta, I recognize, the ta is you. So it's you who did something, right? So if you can just start breaking things apart, like you see the ha, that means the tila'ah, the tribulation, the troubles, the problems, etc. This is actually a really big step, so you should feel good about yourself if you're getting to the point where you can break those things apart, or you see the new at the end here. This one, the yellow, in yellow. If you can see, so maybe matzah is a verb, right? And you might not know what it means, but you see the new, you're like, okay, something happened to us, right? That's very, very good, very good. That's a huge leap to be able to segment the language like that, okay? All right, yamim rabim, many days, shalom beah, vayarei'u. So this is the verb ra'ah, reish ayin ayin, okay? To do evil, to treat harshly, to treat badly. Okay, this is the hifal form. And they treated badly lanu, us. Who did? Mitzrayim, the Egyptians. Literally Egypt there. The B is telling you, by the way, I want you guys to take note. You see these little English letters? B, C. I was going to take pictures of my Koren Tanakh today and just work through that with you guys, or just do it live in the book, you know. I know some of you like it when I do that, but I decided not to because I want to do a bit of a continuation from last time. Last time I attacked some of the stuff that counter missionaries do. Well, one of the arguments they'll make is that, oh, the New Testament, there's thousands of copies and it's so all these variances and blah, head explodes, right? And then they pretend that we don't have that stuff in the Tanakh. All of these letters are showing where there are variances, okay? And this is not to harm your faith, this is to help your faith. The fact that we care enough to track those differences, right? Don't let it bother you. And usually the differences are not, usually it's a spelling issue, not always. Sometimes there's an extra word, sometimes there's a thee or not a thee. Like this one up here, the little b with Egypt. This one, this means that the Samaritan Torah has ha Mitzrayim. Ha Mitzrayim. So it's the Egyptians, right? Because that one it's not menukad, it's not with vowel pointers, right? The Samaritan Pentateuch, it's usually called. So there's usually things like that. It doesn't usually change the meaning of the text, but sometimes it does. Same thing with the apostolic writing variances. It doesn't usually change the meaning of the text. The bad variances that people pick on the New Testament are usually showing up 1,000 years after the New Testament was written. So later copies, where monks have had time to insert something, or like, for example, the story of the adulterous woman, right? It's a much later edition that has been added, very clearly added. And because we have so many copies, we know that story isn't true, right? We can tell that it's not true. It did not happen. Or the part that says, like, drinking poison and being bitten by snakes and all that stuff. That's added later. We know that it's added later because we have so many copies of the earlier manuscripts. They protect us, they insulate us from any kind of harm to the core of the scripture. So don't let it. This is something that a lot of times scholars, they hide from congregants. They don't want congregants to know. They say every single letter is exactly as it was originally. Well, that could be true if God did not involve man in what he does. He uses mankind, right? We're supposed to be B'Tselem Elokim. We're supposed to be imagers of God, as the late Dr. Michael Heiser, may he rest in peace, used to put it. So this is not a problem if you understand. If you don't build your faith on sand, on a fake belief that every single letter is exactly as it was. No, it's not. It's not. Not every letter has been preserved. There are sometimes spelling issues. The message has been preserved. The prophecies have been preserved. The meat has been preserved. The Torah commands have been preserved, right? This is why sometimes scripture even duplicates itself. Like it'll repeat a command somewhere else. I think it's to kind of help protect against the human error of copyists, like copyist errors that might creep in there and stuff. So let's use equal weights and measures. If someone is going to attack the New Testament based on the number of extant manuscripts that we have and variances, well, then let's be fair. Let's take a look at all. Let's just one page. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is only naming the major variances. I can't wait for the BHQ, the next generation critical apparatus, to be finished for the entire Hebrew Bible. It covers more. It shows more stuff in Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff like that, right? So, and these variances in the Tanakh, they do bolster our faith because it's almost the same, right? There's, like I said, a lot of times these variances are just spelling differences or things that you can't always translate into English, right? So this shouldn't hurt your faith. But if you're being troubled by counter missionaries, if some of the lies or the propaganda they're putting out there, sometimes they don't even understand themselves. I think some of them really believe that, like, the Torah that we have today, every single letter is the same in all the Masoretic scripts. No, it's not. I mean, just within the Masoretic tradition, we have variances. So it's just not true. I would love for it to be true, but it's not. It's not true. Okay, so don't build your faith on sand. Realize what it is. Realize that God does use man. It's a combined measure. When a prophet sends his prophecy, sometimes it's thus saith the Lord, and it's a verbatim thing. Sometimes the Hashem has sent him a vision or sent him some feelings, and he's been cultivating the life of that prophet from his youth up to be exposed to Greek poetry, as Rav Shaul was, right? Or to be exposed to Canaanite poetry, as clearly some of the psalmists were, right? And other things like so that they would be able to take the good and filter out the bad and use those good things to have that exposure, or to have the language that a nobleman has, that Yeshayahu, Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, Hanavi had, so that he'd be able to put something of himself into it from Hashem also so it's God and it's Betzedek, pardon me, it's B'Tselem Elokim. It's the imaging of God. We're doing it together, including the Bible. The Bible is a cooperative work, right? Okay, let's see. Yes. That's right. The Father's message comes through no matter what. And the Bible is just incredibly documented where variances are. And we have a wealth of it, more than any of the other books that are out there. So it really shouldn't be something that hurts your faith. It should help your faith. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Sean saying, let's be fair, the Roman history is far worse than Tanakh. Yeah, all that stuff. Even wonderful Greek classics like the Iliad and the Odyssey, Homer's works. I mean, those things. I think with the Iliad, I remember reading one time. This was in Josh McDowell's book. I think it was called "A Ready Defense," based on faith that demands a verdict and some of those. I think it says that it's 600 years passed before it was written down. It's like it was like, or rather, the oldest copy that we have is 600 years after the story was invented. And it's considered to be good enough for historians, right? So we don't have anything that bad in the biblical history, So, all right, let's continue. Verse 16. Oh, anyway, so that's why I'm including this text today. I wanted to just show the actual Tanakh proper, but that one, the Corn Pub, it's not a critical edition, so it's not going to show where there are variances in other texts, right? Well, this one does. So just whenever you see one of those little lowercase letters, keep that as fodder for if you're bothered by an counter missionary or something, you can kind of use that and say, hey, look, you don't have a problem with Tanakh, and it's got all these variances, Yet it's much older, which means it's harder to find variances. Fewer things survive when you're talking another several thousand years, right? So, all right. Verse 16. ונצעק אל אדוני וישמע קולנו וישלח מלאך ויוציאנו ממצרים ונצעק אל אדוני. So we cried out, tza'ak, unto Adonai, vayishma Koleinu, and he heard the voice of Nu. He heard our voice. So whenever you see Nu, almost always, mimenu is an exception. When you see Nu at the end of a word, that means we or us, usually. Yeah? So you got one here too. So if that's the only thing you learned today as far as Hebrew goes, that'll be great. You can start recognizing that. Look, we got one over here too. Okay. Lots of news. Look down on the page. We got some coming up. Just scanning. Okay, I think that's all on this page. All right. Kol, the voice of Nu, our voice. Vayishlach, and he sent malach, a messenger or an angel. Vayotzienu, and he brought out, Nu, here we go. He brought out us. See how it stacks up so nice like that? By the way, you can't do that in the modern Hebrew dialect, okay? With verbs. You can't put Nu on the end. Okay, but in biblical we can. Can't do it in rabbinical either. Medieval Hebrew doesn't happen. Okay. Post-biblical, just near the cusp, Dead Sea Scrolls, a lot of it still happens. Vayishlach malach vayotzienu, and he brought out Nu, us, from Mitzrayim. So here we got these. Here we have the addition, the at the end of Mitzrayim. Here we have a be at the front, and here we have a mi at the beginning with the dot inside of the next letter. That's one way to say from Egypt. Vehine, and behold, anachnu, we. Oops, I didn't notice it was. I'm just looking for news. This is the pronoun anachnu. That means we. Vekadesh, we're in Kadesh. Ketsei gevulecha, a city at the extremity or the end of your border. Okay. Verse 17. Let me see the comments. Sean says, Tacitus, the earliest copy is dated to 7th century. Wow, really? I didn't know Tacitus was that late. That's amazing. Okay, and Harrison thinks that Homer was illiterate. That's fascinating. I know the claims are that Muhammad was. I didn't know that. Although there's an argument against Muhammad's being illiterate. The Arabic there, I heard Christian Prince talking about this several times. He's an Arab Christian who attacks Islam and converts people to Christianity quite frequently. And he says that it actually means not versed, like meaning not knowing the scriptures, right? The people of the book are those who know the scriptures, like Christians and Jews. And Muhammad was not versed. He was someone who was like from a pagan family. He didn't know the scriptures, right? So and that later, because of the kind of obscure Quraysh dialect of Arabic, that was lost, and people just think that means illiterate, right? But there's a time, there's like authentic hadith and stuff where he says, give me something to write on. I want to write down some instructions, right? So there's things that kind of support what Christian Prince is saying, so kind of interesting. Okay, verse 17. Na'abara na. Abba, you guys know, right? Every Hebrew roots person knows this, to cross over. Okay. The noun is from nachnu or anachnu, this one up here, right? It's kind of a, maybe this will help people to see this pattern. The word anachnu, you can also write that as anachnu, as we have here. So both ways, anachnu or nachnu. And when you put that noun at the beginning of a verb, usually it's saying we, right? Sometimes it's a prefix to make it the passive hifal part, but sometimes it's we, like it is here. Hope that doesn't look like a cough. It's supposed to be a noun. Here, let's arrow it so you can. Okay. So na'be is we will cross over, or we will cross, and then the hey at the end, this is like a little emphatic thing, like let us do it. Hey, let's do this. For you grammar junkies, this form is called the cohortative. Na'abara, na, let us cross. Na, now. Ve'achicha, into the land of Cha, into your land. Loho, na'avoho, besadehe, uvecherem, ve'lo nishte, meve'el. Lo na'avo, we will not cross over besadeh, into a field, uvecherem, or into a vineyard. Ve'lo nishte, and we will not drink water of ve'er, of a spring. And I just want to point out, see that noon that I was showing you guys? Look, here we go. Here it is again. Oh, sorry, wrong color. It's hard for me to see. See? He's hopping in front of the verb there. That noon is telling you it means we or us. See that pattern? Indexers, whoever indexes this, please maybe make note of the new suffix and the nachnu and the noon meaning we. Yeah, that would be good to have, I think. Maybe the emphatic atah if you like. It's up to you. I don't want to make you work too hard, but oops, I used the wrong color. Whatever. Pretend that's the same color. See all these guys. Okay. All going here. So it's a nachnu. I mean, that's reminding us of that. Okay. So when you see the noon at the front, it reminds you of nachnu or nachnu. Yes, thank you to our indexers, our topic indexers. I think we've got 5. We might be adding a 6th person. If you'd like to volunteer, just let me know. There's a group in Telegram where they meet and they discuss who's going to index what. These are for all my past teachings and present teachings. They help us by going through and making time codes with topic indices so that our channel will be searchable for any of these topics. So you'll be able to search, for example, for the word, anachnu. And any video where I'm talking about that, I mean, we might not be on that level always, but those where it got indexed, it'll pull up the time code. And you could actually just click that time code, jump to that video in that spot where it's talking about it. So eventually we want to have an app that helps people with their Hebrew literacy for doing that. Anyway, but that's what they're doing. Or if it's just a subject, like, oh, where was he talking about? I know he's talking about how we're not supposed to pray to Yeshua. Where is that? Where's the topic on that? And so you'll be able to search on something like that on the YouTube channel or in the app in the future and be able to pull up videos where there's evidences presented for that kind of stuff linguistically. Yeah, so that's the idea at least. So thank you. For years I was asking for help from indexers, and now it's like, my stepfather used to say, when it rains, it pours. And so now we're gonna have 6, I think, people working on it. So I really, really appreciate you guys. Okay. Lo, okay, where was word? Okay. Lo na'avor, we will not cross over, besade, okay, I did that. Okay, l'cherem, v'lo nishtei, and we will not shata, we won't drink. If you go to Israel, you should get one of those t-shirts that says Shtu Coca-Cola. It's got the real nice Coca-Cola, like font, but in cursive Hebrew. Drink Coca-Cola. Me ve'el. Okay, here we have a construct, waters of a spring. Derech hamelech nelech. By the way of the king we will go. So, Moshe is saying, hey, look, don't worry, we're not going to bother you, we're not going to trample your crops, we'll go on the king's highway, right? We're going to stay on that road. Lo nite, it was actually ninte, so the verb is nata, and that second noon he assimilated, that's why he's there in the middle, the little dagesh there, this guy. There's a noon inside. See that? For those of you on cell phone, see? So it was the verb nata, and then when we added the nu for anachnu, ninte, presumably in ancient Hebrew, became nitte. That dot is telling you there's a noon hiding inside me. Help, let about. So, right. Yamin. So we won't turn yamin to the right, or samol to the left. Ad asher, until when na'avor, we've crossed over gevulecha. Gevul is border or boundary of cha, of yours, so your boundary. Okay. Any comments or questions? Oh yeah, Vayishlach malach. I forgot, I have a comment on this. And he sent an angel, vayarei'u, and he brought us out. So he sent a malach, and he's the one who brought us up from Egypt. This is referenced in the book of Jude, where it says, don't you know that Yeshua led a people out of Egypt, right? And for the life of me, I still can't understand why Dr. Stern, may he rest in peace, translated it, Adonai led a people out of Egypt, because the Alexandrian manuscripts, which are the superior manuscripts for the Greeks, say Iesu. So anyway, okay. All right, verse 18. Vayomer elai Edom lo ta'avor bi. But Edom said unto him. Here's the him. You can see the vav at the end. So the L is unto. Well, that's hard to see. That'll work. And then the vav is him. Okay. Edom. This is the subject of the verb. Vayomer. And he said, who's the he? Edom. So Edom said unto him, Lo ta'avor bi. You shall not cross over bi me. And this tav, that's from Atah. So I won't colorize it and stuff. It's enough if you guys remember the noon today. Pen is really hard to bring into modern English. Pen means lest. So it's really wordy in English. It means so that not. Okay. So lest, ba'cherev. So that not, or if you do it, this is going to happen. Ba with the cherev, with the sword. Eight say, I will go out. Right? So meaning in hand. With the sword, I'll go out. Likha techa, to meet, cha, you. And oftentimes this word kara, to meet, as opposed to kara, number one, to call, they look the same, is used to talk about warfare, like to go out to meet in battle, is the idea. Harrison says, Yeshua is the achikha, the path between the waters, etc. Right, he shows up exactly when we need him. Yes. Be'emet, true. Okay. Verse 19. Vayomeru eliv b'nei Yisrael. Then the children of Israel said, eliv unto him, same thing as up above, Bamsila na'ale, ve'imei mecha nishtei ani umiknai, v'natati micham. Ba misla, ba by the Mesilah, pardon me. Mesilah is the highway, right? It's from the verb salah, which is to go up, which is actually kind of related to the Arabic word for prayer. Interesting. So, by the highway, na'ale, we, there's the noun we. What color was I using for that? I think I was using this one. Probably this. Cyan is better. We will Allah, we will go up. Ve'im meimecha. So this looks like it says in literally, and if your water, nishte, we will drink, we will shata. Ani, I, miknai, or my miknei, which is like livestock. Venatati, then I will give. Well, pardon me, oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong with that. That's part of the verb. Natan. Natati, I will give michram, its payment. The at the end is like their payment, their cost. Right? So even if we drink your water, we'll pay for it. Okay, come on, dude. Yeah, except by the sword. That's a good way to get it. Safranovitz. Rak ein davar. The raglai e'evora. Okay. So literally this says rak, just, ein, not davar, a thing, a matter. But this is a Hebrew idiom. Okay. Oh, by the way, regarding the highway, Rashi says because there's no risk of damaging crops, etc. And I'm in the way. Okay. So rak ein davar means only it ain't no thing. It's a Hebrew idiom meaning don't make a fuss about it. Like it's no thing. Don't worry about it, right? Come on then. Be nice. Verse 20. Vayomer lo ta'avo vayetzi Edom likato ve'am kaved u'yad chazakah. Vayomer, but he said, lo, not ta'avo, you will not go up. Maybe we'll colorize those. The tav is from Atah. You will not avo, you will not go up. Vayetzi Edom, and Edom went out. Likato, to meet him. Be'am, with a people. An am, with an am. Sorry, it's kind of hard for me to see. With an am, kaved, heavy. Noun am, adjective kaved, heavy, meaning a lot of them. U and v, with a yad, with a hand. Chazakah, with a strong hand. Okay. Hand just happens to be feminine. That's why it's chazakah and not chazek. Okay. Verse 21. How's it sound? Vayarei'u Edom. Actually, maybe we'll count. This is kind of cool. Vayarei'u Edom. Neton et Yisrael. Avo bigvulo. Vayet Yisrael. Me'alahiv. Vayarei'u Edom. So Edom, all right, Baruch Hashem. That might have worked, popping up the gain and moving a little bit closer. So Edom refused. Neton. This is a little hard to recognize the form. This is an infinitive absolute here, guys, so it's kind of flexible. So refused giving. Neton, giving, et Yisrael. So refused to give Israel avo, to pass. Right? Another infinitive. So refused to allow Israel passage. Bigvulo. In just so you can see that bait in action again. Up above it meant with, but here it means in. In. Gevul is border. Gevul, border of, him, his. In his border. Vayet, this is a real hard word to recognize if you're not used to it. So the word is natah. We saw it actually, I think maybe on the previous page. Natah, maybe I'll write this. You see that? Nope, that's hard to see. What about the black? Oh yeah, it shows there. Good. Okay. Natah is to turn, right? To turn or to bend. So vayet, the hey went away because it's a lamed hey verb, and it's a pei nun verb, so the nun went away also. So you're just left with the tav. The only guy we have left, the only survivor, pardon me, tet, not tav, tet, it's the tet. See? That's the only thing left from the root. The yod tells me it's he, meaning Israel, right? Yod is he. Vayet, so he turned. Who's the he? It's hard to see, sorry, Yisrael. So Israel turned. Ooh. For some reason, it thinks I want to end my presentation. Okay, hold on. We'll at least be done with this page. May alive, from, with, vav, him. Okay, 1 second. If I was pre-recording, I could just pause. Every once in a while that happens. I don't know why PowerPoint thinks I want to quit. There we go. And we're back. Any comments or questions? Oh, thanks, Sean. Great. Baruch Hashem. Might have solved it just with some positional stuff. Great, great, great. Backup microphone is going strong. All right. No, you notice a little pay there at the end? That is telling us there is a, it's the end of a major section. Yeah. Okay. Continuing. Verse 22. Actually, I want to get a drink real quick if you guys don't mind. Just for a second, you can have a look at that while I'm. And we're back. Okay. Verse 22. Let me just make sure everything's charging as it should. I want to prevent an issue. Yes, totally. I like this one, the laser pointer. I've been avoiding it because I thought it was hurting the microphone processing the laser pointer graphics. וירעו מקדש ויבואו בני ישראל כל העדה. Something ha ha ha. I can't see the word there. The color is bad. Ah! Oops. Let's see. What are we going to do? What to do? Bear with me while I see what that word is. Ah, didn't realize the color was bad. Chapter 20, right? 20, verse 23. Okay. Whole. Okay. Got it. Let's fix that so that's legible. Why don't we make it a nice neon? Yeah, not a word you see that often either. So my brain was like, what? So, kol ha'ida. Oh yeah, we'll translate and then we'll get there. You'll see why that. I had it grayed out, I think, to make, because it's a proper noun, according to many. Rashi says it might not be, but anyway. So vayarei'u, this is pay noon verb, noon is gone. Nasa is to pull up tent stakes, to depart, to travel. So they traveled Kadesh, from Kadesh. Vayavo'u v'nei Israel, and the children of Israel, Kol ha'edah, all of the synagogue, all of the assembly, they arrived, they entered Hol ha'har. Hol ha'har. Menukad, like this. Okay. So Rashi says this means the mountaintop, right? But several commentators also believe that this is the name of the place, right? So Mount Hor, Mount Hor. Rashi says there was like a mountain with like another little mountain on top of it, right? The place is actually still to be identified. Archaeologists don't really know where this is. Who knows? Maybe wind and erosion have worn down that second little mountaintop and it's just not visible now. So here's a full comment from Rashi. Mount is har in Hebrew. Mount Hor was a hor atop a har. A mountain atop a mountain, like a little heap sitting on top of a big one. Even though the cloud that went before them leveled the mountains for them, there were still three that remained: Mount Sinai for the Torah, Mount Hor for Aharon to be buried, and Mount Nebo for Moshe to be buried over in modern-day Jordan. Okay. All right. Glad you guys are all here. Please remember to click like, huh? Last week's video I made private the night afterwards because I was concerned that something might hurt some people's feelings, right? If you remember, I talked a little bit about what ancient Israelis looked like, and I kind of used some linguistic proofs to think that I think they look like Ashkenazi Jews. They look white, right? From the language that's used and from the culture that's used. And I just wasn't sure if that might have hurt some feelings. And so I wanted to make sure not. So I made it private for a bit. And then someone wanted to see it. I made it unlisted. And then I decided to make it public for a while. I thought, okay, it's okay, because I got enough feedback that it seemed fine. So, because you talk about something on the fly, sometimes you never know how people are going to react. And our desire here is not to hurt anyone. Yeah. It came to mind that I hadn't really talked about too much. And I thought it might be interesting to people because you never hear the idea that maybe we were always white. I mean, the skin color doesn't matter, but you just never hear that. I thought, well, I think there's enough evidence that at least one of the tribes was, or at least, the tribes that happen to be writing down all the stuff happen to be, right? So anyway, so that's why that's there. So if you want to see that, you better catch it fast because I tend to only leave those full triennials out there for a week, maybe a week and a half sometimes, and then I either make them unlisted or make them private until we have time to process, chew them up into 3 bite-sized 30-minute pieces or so with good topic indexes and put it out there, add some effects and music and all that kind of stuff. So, which is what we do on Monday. So if you watch on Monday, we're working through Genesis. Okay, if you can hear me, I'm just still getting stuff fixed. Computer just did like multiple artifacts and was frozen. Yeah, I had to reboot. I had no choice. When it does that, total freeze, there's nothing that can be done except to unplug the power actually and then come back in. Something weird with this model of Asus. Okay. Just a sec, I'm getting all my stuff back up. And my camera's not working now, too, for some reason. Camera won't come back online. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Can you hear me all right? I'll try the camera again. We'll see. But maybe it's what brought the whole thing down. Who knows? Yeah, no, not working. Camera's not working. Interesting. Nope. Okay. Very bizarre. And we're going through a nice voltage regulator as well, and a UPS, very clean power. But I don't know, camera don't want to come up, so. Right. Yeah, that's fine. So let's just continue like that. You don't have to see me. All the old ones are not on there anyway, right? So I just find we found that it's more engaging for people to see a talking head. So Anyway. Okay. Oh, and here's where I colored whore. That's what's missing. I think I need to fix that real quickly. The mountain name. Oh. Now this could be a problem. It's not letting me draw on the screen. Okay, when that happens, I usually have to kill PowerPoint, so hold on. Very sorry. Okay, killed PowerPoint. Coming back in. Yeah, there we go. All right, working now. Yay! Oh yeah, admin Tet's right. Only 21 out of 32 likes. Come on, guys. Show me some love. Okay, verse 22, verse 23. Oh yeah, we had Rashi's comment up there, didn't we? ויאמר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון בחור ההר. Then Adonai said unto Moshe and unto Aharon at the mountaintop, or at Mount Hor, Al Gavul Eretz Edom Lemor, upon or near the boundary of the land of Edom, saying, verse 24, Easeh Aharon el amar, ki lo yavo el haaretz, asher natati livnei Yisrael, al asher meritem et pi lemei meriva. Okay, verse 24. Yea, safe. This is a nifal from a sof. You can tell because it would have been yin asef, and the noon can't assimilate to the aleph, so the e became a. Okay, we won't expand on that too much. Yea, asef Aharon. Let Aaron be gathered el amaiv, unto his people. Okay, what's this phrase talking about? So, Milgram writes a bit on this. I want to share. Gathered to his kin. This idiom is found only in the Torah in connection with the deaths of Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, and Aaron. Thus, it is reserved for Israel's forefathers, never for women and never for non-Israelites. Its meaning becomes clear in the stories of the patriarchs. It is the act that takes place after dying, but before burial. And it continues, thus, it can neither mean to die nor to be buried in the family tomb. Rather, it means be reunited with one's ancestors, and refers to the afterlife in Sheol. Hence, the opposite term, vanitzak me'amai, be cut off from one's ancestors. All right? I.e., not being reunited with them in Sheol, because being cut off from the people of Israel, like not doing Passover, for example, you get cut off. Okay? Okay, I just heard a click. I think the camera came up. Let me see if he's going to work. Give me just a sec. Nope. Okay. No go. All right, continuing. Key for lo yavo el haaretz, for he shall not go. And notice we have a B here, right? So some versions say lo yavo'u, they shall not enter. Here it says lo yavo, he shall not enter el haaretz unto the land, asher natati lifnei Israel, which I have given to or assigned to the land of the children of Israel. Al asher meritem, for how you rebelled. You both rebelled. It's a plural you. et pi, against my command, literally my mouth, lemei meriva, at the waters of Meriva. Come on, Mr. Camera, you can do it. Go, go, go. I could always use this little dinky built-in webcam in my tablet. 720p thing, I think. The angle might be off. We'll try. Let's see. It won't take that long, and hopefully it keeps people a little bit more interested to see someone talking. Let's see. Yeah. Maybe for this. Yeah, okay, hold on. If that worked. If that'll work, and then it's behind. Okay, and here we go. Okay. Hold on. Need to do something there. Let's. Oh yeah, that might work. And just give me 1 second to fiddle. That chroma key does not look right for this camera. Ooh. Well, that one can see the light. That's funny. And we could. Yeah, it kind of works. There, just need a. There. Not perfect, but not terrible. I think that's okay. Yeah, it's gonna keep moving. Yeah, sit back. We're all right. Hey, backup camera engaged. All right. Verse 25. Kach et Aharon ve'et Elazar. Take Aaron and Eleazar beno, his son, the son of O, v'ha'al otam, and bring them up to Hol Hahal, to Mount Hol, or the mountaintop on the mountaintop. Okay. Verse 26. V'hafshet et Aharon et Begadaiv, v'hilbashtam et Elazar beno, v'Aharon Yasef umet sham. V'hafshet et Aharon, then strip Aaron et Begadaiv, his clothing, v'hilbashtam, and dress them, like put them on, et Elazar, unto Elazar beno, his son. V'Aharon Yasef, then Aaron was gathered, umet, and he died, sham, there. All right. Kenneth says, I kind of like that effect. All right. Yeah, there's like a weird, like, kind of outline on me with this one, right? You can kind of see, like, around the shirt. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like when a Jedi dies, like a Jedi Master dies in the Star Wars series, and then he shows up to talk to, like, the one he trained before. He's got like that kind of thing like that, right? If it was just blue. All right. Let's see. Verse 27. Vayas Moshe kasher tziva Adonai. So Moshe did, it's Asa, the has gone, ka'asher, according to how tziva Adonai commanded, vayarei'u, and they went up el hor hahar, into Mount Hor, or the top of the mountain. Yeah, like a hologram. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Zaken Louis, le'inei kol ha'ida, in the sight of all the people. You know, I want to mark this. I just got to mark this construct chain. For those of you who are doing Hebrew, I got to mark it. Maybe it'll give some mystery to the rest of you who are like, what is going on? Okay. So we have a chain here. That means every word has of in between it, usually. And we have a hey on the last word. Having a hey on the last word at the beginning, the definite article, makes it definite. Which means I really got to get bifocals. There we go. Which makes the whole chain definite, right? It imparts its definiteness to the whole chain, all the words in the chain. Okay. So the lamed is 2 or 4 or 2. Okay, this is like yeah, okay. Literally 2. Einei kol ha'ida. The eyes of the all, so of everybody, or all of the synagogue or the congregation. So in the sight of everybody. Okay. Verse 28. Vayafshet Moshe et Aharon et begadaiv. So Moshe stripped Aharon's clothing. Vayalbesh otam, and he dressed them et Eleazar, upon Eleazar, Beno, his son. Vayamat Aharon, and Aaron died Sham, there. Berosh Hahar, at the peak of the mountain. Now here we have a hint, hello, because it says at the peak of the mountain. That's actually supporting what Rashi was saying, right? I keep looking at the other camera. What Rashi was saying, that it's indicating it's a mountain on a mountain, but it's the peak, right? Okay, nice. And we do have another construct chain here. It's Rosh Hahar. And again, it's definite. Hahar. So that's the mountain. Because it's the, it makes this one the also. So the peak, the head of the mountain peak. Vayeirdu Moshe ve'Elazar min hahar. Then Moshe and Elazar descended. They went down Yarad min, from Hahar, the mountain. Yeah, I think that would be useful. I'm resisting though. I think I haven't changed these glasses in quite some years. These things are like indestructible. I mean, for a while. Sometimes the lens will just fall out. It just jump out randomly. And I pop it back in. Hey, they're still good. I've sat on them. They've been stepped on. They've been locked. So I'm kind of hesitant to get rid of these. Okay, verse 29. Vayeirdu kol ha'ida ki gava Aharon. Okay. Vayeirdu kol ha'ida. And the whole synagogue saw that expired. Gava is like to stop breathing. Aharon, Aaron. Okay. Now there's an interesting note on this. Right? Yeah, pay, right? We have a couple clues about it being the top. Yeah, exactly. So the people refused to believe that Aharon was dead. They objected. How could the angel of death strike him? He was a man who had withstood the angel of death and had restrained him, as it is written, Kakatuv. He stood between the dead and the living until the plague was checked. In 17 verse 13. If you bring him back, well and good. If not, we shall stone you. This is from the Midrash, okay? Thereupon Moshe resorted to prayer and said, Sovereign of the universe, deliver us from suspicion. Straightway the Holy One, blessed be He, opened the cave and showed Aharon to them. That's Bamidbar Rabbah 19:20. So Midrash Rabbah. And by the way, with Midrash Rabbah, this is one of the more popular Midrashim, or collections of Midrash, we should say. People think it's one Midrash. It's oftentimes just called Midrash Rabbah. I don't like that because I think it's confusing to people. Each book of the Torah has a Midrash Rabbah associated with it, right? So there's Breshit Rabbah, Shemot Rabbah, etc. Some of them are more trustable, reliable than others. So like Breshit Rabbah, this guy is like so interesting as far as Midrashim goes, because Beta Israel, one of the sects of Israel, the Ethiopian Jews, they acknowledge it as scripture. So that's how trusted it is in that community. So we put a lot of stock on Breshit Rabbah. It's very old. The language is old. It makes sense that this is basically the older the text is, the better chance we believe it, right? So this was one of the problems with Kabbalah when with the Zohar, when the Zohar just kind of showed up out of nowhere, and in Aramaic and in just some other. Anyway, I won't go into all that, but some issues, or with Sefer Hayashar, the book of Jasher. As cool as it is, the language is late Hebrew, right? So, which it's possible it was passed down as tradition then, or updated in language, right? That's also possible. But anyway, Breshit Rabbah, very trustable, but it's not all one singular midrash, even though people will call it, even scholarly articles will reference Midrash Rabbah. The older ones, usually like before 1950s or so, they'll just say Midrash Rabbah. But as you get later, people are usually saying, okay, this one's Bamidbar Rabbah, like here. So, yeah, not so easy here in Philippines, Safranovitz. Usually go to the optical place and they say, nope, won't fit those frames. Like, yeah, nice idea though. Thanks. Okay. Vayivku, and the verb is bacha. The he has gone away. We're just left with bait and kaf, and the third root letter is gone. Bacha, it's onomatopoeic. Bacha, bacha, bacha. So vayi, and the u, that means they, bachad. They bachad et Aharon. Okay. Shaloshim yom, 30 day. Kol Beit Yisrael, all the house of Israel. Oops, I can't. Hold on, let me see if I can. Having a camera issue. Yay, it does have some space. Oh, right, because the light. That's why I did that. Okay, I'll just slump. I'm slumped. And here we have I don't know if you can see it. There's a satum. Let's just. Satum, the samech, right? So we have another series of white space in the tradition. All right. So that's it for the Torah portion. I'm not going to do chapter 21 because I wanted to do the entire book of Obadiah, the Haftarah, with you guys today. How cool is that? Oops, slouch, much slouch. Maybe over here would be good. Yeah. Okay. All right. Obadiah chapter 1. It's the only chapter there is. Chazon of Adyahu, a vision of Obadiah. Ko amar Adonai Elohim. Such said, or thus said Adonai Elohim. And by the way, this is really good for those guys who tell you that Yod-He, Vav-He always means the tetragrammaton, like the sacred name of God. And we have the tradition that's marked in there, the Ketiv Karei, that marks it based on how it was memorized, right? It's because the Masoretes really cared about the text, they didn't want to correct it, right? So people have memorized it with Adonai sometimes, with Elohim sometimes, and sometimes they just knew it's the tetragrammaton, right? So you will see it with vowels under it to tell you it's Adonai or it's Elohim, or to tell you it's, hold on, why can't I, why is that not working? Zoom, I said. Oh no. Is this happening again? Bayan. That's okay. There's another way to zoom. There. There we go. So looky here. This one. See, the vowels here show us that we should read this as Elohim. These are the vowels for Elohim. And you might think, but wait, it's under Elohim? Well, that's just because on Elohim, it's a chat of sagol. It's what we call a composite schwa. It's still a schwa. But Aleph cannot take the little sound that's here. So instead, this schwa will lengthen to this kind of schwa. See, here it is in the Aleph, the Adom. So if you try to put a vocal schwa on an Aleph, it becomes this kind. Usually, or it can be a chat of patach also, right? So under Elohim, here's the vowel. We take the composite schwa. It's vocal. Here, it doesn't need to be composite because it's a yod, so it's a schwa, right? And this is Adom, not Elohim. But if you had Elohim, you have E, so there's the chirik there. So just kind of going against the theory that it's always the name, it's always a sacred name. Well, no, here it's actually Adonai. I mean, here, I'm Elohim, pardon me. Here it's Elohim. So Adonai Elohim is the title here. Okay? All right. It's interesting. Everything is kind of acting weird today. Yeah, even my my nifty device that lets me zoom and stuff, I put in the special, I set it up so I can zoom in PowerPoint. The zoom option is gone from the device. It's like everything's on the fritz. All right. Edom, to Edom. Shema'nu. We indeed have heard me'et Adonai, from Adonai. Vetzir bagoyim, that an envoy or a messenger, very rare word by the way, tzir number 2, among the nations, shulach, has been sent. This is a passive. Kumu v'nakuma, arise and we will rise up, aleha, against it, la milchama, for war. Oops, I'm sorry, the arrow's in the wrong place. Vehine katon achikha bagoyim. Behold, insignificant, I have assigned you among the nations. Literally, natati, I gave, cha, you, among the nations. I made you katon, made you small. Not a big deal. Bazui, this is from baza, beit zayin hey. It's a passive. It means like despised. Atah me'od, are you very much so? Verse 3. Zedon libecha, because your heart is presumptuous. Zadon, it can mean, pardon me, Zadon becomes Zedon. This is presumptuousness of your heart. The presumptuousness of your heart, hish echa, from nasha, has cheated you. Shechoni v'chavvei selah, hidden in the one who is hidden in the like the fissures of the cliff. Nerom shivto, high up he has sat. Omer, he says, Bilibo, to himself, Mi yorideni aretz, who will bring me down to the ground? You have these kind of safe caves and stuff that sometimes people live in, and they think they're invincible up there. Im tagbiach kanesher, if you make yourself high or boastful like the eagle, ve'im bein kochavim sim kinecha, even if you between the luminaries have placed your nest, misham oridcha ne'um Adonai, from there I will bring you down the utterance of Adonai. Some say oracle. I just don't like that because it feels kind of pagan-y to me. Im ganavim ba'u lecha, im shodedei laila, ech nidmeta. If thieves, ganavim, ba'u lecha, come to you, im shodedei laila, if destroyers in the night, devastators of the night, ech nidmeta, how will you, this can mean a couple things. It can mean, how will you be silent? Or how will you not be destroyed is being implied. How will you be destroyed? Or how you'll be destroyed? Halo yignevu dayam, how they will steal enough for them. Im botzerim ba'olach, but if a botzer is someone who prunes grapes, if grape pruners, ba'ulach, come to you, halo yashi'iru, will they not cause to remain arleilot, like gleanings? And arleila, it also shows up sometimes as arlelet. The singular can be arleila or arlelet. They're both feminine. A gleaning, like what's left over. Safronovitz says, Ne'um is thus spake. A ne'um is an utterance, really like an utterance, right? Although some interpret this as an oracle. So we'll say like Ne'um Adonai, the utterance of Adonai, or the prophecy of Adonai, right? Something that he's declared. It's like that. Kind of hard to pin down. Many lexicons just say oracle, but maybe it's just me. It doesn't feel right to use that with biblical literature. Verse 6. Ech nechpesu aisav nive'u matspunaiv. So chipes is to search out, right? The noon makes it passive, and the how they've searched out Esau. How Esau has been searched out. Nive'u, this is from Ba'ah. It only occurs one time in the whole Bible, really rare. To be grazed bare. Matspunai. So the root here is tzafan. Tzafan is to hide. And from this we get like hiding places and secret treasure and stuff like that. So even his secret treasure, they will graze bare. They have grazed bare, his hidden treasure. Verse 7. Ad hagevul shilchucha kol anshe veritecha. Ad hagevul, unto the boundary, unto the border, shilchucha, they have sent you. Kol anshe veritecha, all the men of your covenant. Hishiucha, this is the same as we had up above. Let me mark that. It's a bit easier to track. I'll go this way. So, this one. Yeah, tzafon, very nice. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, from the same root, right? And how tzafon, in the Baal epic, it's considered a very holy place. So the name is kind of appropriate, right? Like, my precious. Right. Where were we? Hishiucha. They have cheated. Cha, you. Yachalu lecha. Anshe shalomecha. They finished you. Men of your peace, like your allies. Lachmacha yasimu mazor. Your food, your bread, they have set. And I think implied here is for mazor, a foreigner. Oh, right. Or yeah, okay. Or ambush. Yeah. It's from the same root. Tachtecha, underneath you. Ein tevulna, there's no understanding, bo, in him. Verse 8. Halo bayom hahu ne'um Adonai, v'havadti chachamim me'edom, utenuva mehar aisav. Halo bayom hahu, is it not in that day, ne'um Adonai, the utterance of Hashem, the utterance of the Lord, v'havadti, that I will destroy, or I will cause to perish, chachamim, wise men, me'edom, from Edom, utevulna, in wisdom, in knowledge, mehar Esau, from the mountain of Esau. Verse 9. V'chatu giborecha, Teman. And this could mean a couple different things. It could mean they are shattered, or they are like dismayed, like horrified. Giborecha, your heroes, O Teman. Le'ma'an yekaret ish, so that may be cut off a man, mehar Esau, from the mountain of Esau. mi katel, on account of, literally from, but this means on account of ketel. The word is ketel, it became katel because it's the last word in the verse. It means murder. A very rare poetic word for murder. Only occurs one time, but the root, kitel, is to kill. It means to kill. Verse 10. Mechamas achikha Yaakov. So chamas, meaning violence. So here it's a causal mem. Because of the violence, and then achikha is what we call an object genitive. So it's not the violence of your brother. It means the violence caused to your brother, Yaakov. Techascha vusha. You will cover yourself. So, pardon, it will cover you, right? Busha, shame, techascha will cover you. And I think this is a lot of the modern Muslims that this applies to today. V'nithrata le'olam, and you will be cut off le'olam, forever, right? Forever, meaning the violence they do to Israel, to Bnei Israel. Verse 11, because Edom, not all of Edom was under the forced conversion. A lot of Edom remained and kind of assimilated with, the peoples of the Middle East, right? Kind of a mixed peoples all throughout there. Verse 11. Bayom amadcha mineged bayom shavut zarim chelo. In the day when you stood, or in that day of your standing, literally, mineged, right in front of, bayom shavut, in the day in which shavut is from shava, which is to deport, right? Like to take into exile. In which carried into exile, zarim, foreigners, chelo, his wealth. Chel can either mean wealth or can mean like military might. V'nochrim, there's another word for foreigners, and strangers, and foreigners, aliens. Ba'u, arrived, she'aro, in his gate, or at his gate. So this is Edom who's being rebuked right now. Yeah, I think so too, Safranov. It's striking that they are called Hamas, indeed. Ve'al Yerushalayim, and concerning, and against Jerusalem. Yadu goral gamatza ke'achad mehem. Yadu is from yadad. It's kind of like yada. You cast goral, lots. Gamata, also you, ke'achad, as one, mehem, from them. One of them. So like the enemies of Israel are coming upon us and supposed to be our brothers. Edom, they cast their lot with them. Right? We see this in Psalm 137. Was it Zechor, Bnei Edom, Kasher, Amaru, Aru, Hayesod Ba. Right? Remember the children of Edom, the Edomites, who on that day they shouted, tear her down to the foundation, meaning about Jerusalem, right? So this is kind of a similar feeling that the prophet is capturing here. Verse 12. Ve'al tere ve'yom achicha. Now this is interesting. Literally it says don't see the day of your brother, right? Meaning like the downfall, the bad day, right? But it can have another nuanced meaning. This is the verb ra'ah. The hay's gone away, reish aleph, and the hay's gone. And I feel like I'm supposed to draw that for some reason, so I will listen to what I'm being told. Reish aleph. And then there's a hay, right? That's the verb. Reish aleph hay. Yeah, my Zoom is still not working. Yeah, those controls are all so weird. Why would that happen? That even that device after the reboot, my kind of nifty new device that lets me zoom in and do these colors and all this stuff. The zoom option's gone. All my knobs, the options are all gone. Volume control's gone. So weird. So ra'ah is to see. The tav is you. So you see. So let me just zoom back out manually using hotkeys. There we go. But it has the nuance, according to halot, of gloat, or to see with upset emotions, right? In this case, it's upset, but they're happy about it. They're gloating. So ve'al tereh, you do not gloat, ve'yom achikha, in the day of your brother, ve'yom nochro, in the day of his. So this is the word necha, which means misfortune. It also shows up to mean foreigner. It's another word for foreigner, like the day of his foreignness. So the nuance is his misfortune at the hands of foreigners, right? Ve'al tismach. You can kind of see how this is the Haftarah, right? Because again, they're supposed to be our brothers, and they're giving us a hard time. Ve'al tismach, and you do not sameach, don't rejoice. Livnei Yehuda, beyom ovdam, against the children of Judah, that's the Jews, beyom ovdam, in the day when they perish, when they're dispersed. Ve'al tagdel, and you do not magnify picha, your mouth, beyom tzara, in the day of trouble. Verse 13. Yes, thank you, Hashem. Al tavo v'sha'ar ami. You do not enter into the gate of my people. Ami, right? So the E is my people. I'm glad it still let me draw with colors. That's my favorite function. My people. Beyom Edom, in the day of their distress, the day of their calamity. The mem at the end means there. Just coloring some of the stuff so you guys can start to recognize the patterns, start to see them, so you can pick apart the Hebrew, kind of recognize. Even if you don't know what a word means, it's nice if you can pick apart elements that you do know, like the beit at the beginning, right? Or the mem at the end, or the yod at the end. By the way, you see this the little A and B there, right? We have variances in the manuscript, and there's an A up there in verse 9, right? Verse 11 has 2 variances, actually 3 variances on it. Verse 12 has a variance. Verse 13 has a variance. 3 variances, etc. Okay, so just again, for that stupid counter-missionary argument, oh, the New Testament has lots of differences in the manuscripts. So does the Tanakh. Okay, you can't equal weights and measures, folks. You can't say I accept Tanakh, but I reject that because there's so many variants. We've got variances all over the place in Tanakh. Okay, all right. Okay, I lost my place. Sorry. Al tere, don't gloat. See, same thing is up there. Don't gloat. Literally, don't see it. Gam atah, also you. The ra'ato, when his hardship, his bad times. The yom edo, in the time of his calamity. Ve'al tishlachna. This is an energetic form. And do not send out bechelo, against his military might. Beyom edo, in the day of his calamity. So again, it's don't aid the enemies of Israel. Oh, thank you, Janine. Janine says she finds it helpful to mark the stuff. Good. Right? It says, Shalom, you are our very own Bob Ross. I don't know who that is, but thank you. It looks good because the smiley with the stars. Yofi. Seems to any other comments? Okay, good. So glad you all are here. Okay, let's continue. We're going through the whole book of Obadiah for the Haftarah today. Verse 14. Ve'al ta'amud al haperek. And don't ta'amud. The tav there is reminiscent of Atah, you. Not the color I selected, but good enough. Okay. That's from Atah, you shall not amad, stand upon the perek. Perek is a disputed meaning. But when it's used with amad, we get from the Septuagint the idea basically that it is a place of refuge. So don't stand at the place of refuge. So people are fleeing from the city. Don't be there to kill the Jews who are getting out. Lehachrit et pilitaiv, to cut his escapees. Ve'al tasker, and don't close off seridaiv, his refugees. Beyom tzara, in the day of distress. A lot of warnings for Edom. I really think a lot of Edomite blood is among the Islamic Arabs. Verse 15. Ki karov yom Adonai al kol hagoyim. For approaches the day of Adonai against all the nations. Ka'asher asita ye'aselach. According to how you did, it shall be done to you. Sound familiar? Yeshua warning about how to exercise judgment against others? Because nida keneged nida, measure for measure. The way which you judge someone, you will be judged, right? So always be careful if you know that you've done a particular sin yourself. When you're judging someone else for it, that's a form of hypocrisy. Gemulcha, your border, Yashuv beroshecha. I'm sorry, not border. That's gevul. Gemulcha, gamul is like recompense. Your recompense, the recompense of cha, the gemul of cha, your just rewards is really what a gamul is, because it can be good and it can be bad, right? Depending on what you got coming your way. So your gemul, it's actually gamul, but it becomes gemul cha because pretonic comments shortens to shwa. Yashuv will be brought back be, against, or upon, on, rosh, the head of, cha, the head of you, your head. כי כאשר שתיתם על הר קודשי ישתו כל הגויים תמיד. For according to how you all drank upon my holy mountain, so shall drink yishtu chol hagoyim, all the peoples, tamid, perpetually. Vishatu, and they shall drink. Vilau, sorry, that's a bit hard to see, but I do have it defined. Ah, okay, that's in the way, isn't it? Let's. La'a means to slurp or to drink again and again. They shall drink again and again. They will slurp. Vayarei'u kelo hayu, and they shall be as those who have not been. Isn't that interesting? Or they shall become like those who have not been. Verse 17. Raya is saying, Bob Ross was an amazing artist. You'll have to Google him sometime. He was a very famous artist in the States. Oh, okay, thank you. Great, Yofi. Verse 17. Uvahar Tzion tichye fileta. But in Mount Zion there shall be a fileta, a refuge. This is actually singular of like a refugee, but the way it's being used, it means like the escapees, the refugees. V'haya kodesh, and it will be holy. V'yareshu beit Yaakov et morashehem, and the house of Jacob will dispossess their possession, what they possess, basically. Verse 18, and we're almost done with Obadiah. V'haya beit Yaakov eish uveit Yosef lehava. Now the house of Jacob, and again, we have all these construct chains happening. I hope everybody recognizes these already. The house of Jacob, the house of Joseph, right? Don't want to mark everything, but that's, they're all over the place. And the house of Jacob will be Aish, fire. And Veit Yosef, the house of Joseph, lehava, a flame. Uveit Esau, but the house of Esau, lekash, it will become kash. This is very beautiful what the poet did here, the prophet did. I just realized it now. So, oh yeah. Harrison says, interesting, using red like blood, Edom, drinking the blood of our people. And Edom, of course, has the root, blood in their dung, i.e. Hamas, yes. And I want to show you guys. So we have the word haya. Actually, let me do, we'll use neon green for him. Haya means to be, right? And when you add a lamed to it, like so there's plus lamed, and then some kind of word, the lamed will be connected to a word, right? Whatever word, then that has the meaning become. Not always, but it can be idiomatic become, right? So what's interesting is look what happened with the poet did here. So Yaakov Eish, the house of Jacob will be fire. So probably become fire. I didn't see it till I got over here, right? Uveit Yosef, and the house of Joseph, lehava. And this is what's so beautiful. Lehava means a flame, right? You need the lamed to be flame, right? But the lamed here, it's kind of like making you feel like there should be a lamed before it, and also there should be another lamed here, right? Like, not just going to be fire, they'll become fire, right? Not just going to be a flame, going to become a flame. And guess what? Wait for it. The poet gives it to you in the next line. I mean, the next word, right here. We finally get it. The word here isn't lakash, it's kash. So finally we have this haya way over here, this guy, this haya, okay? And finally, he gets his lamed right here. That's this lamed. So it means become. You see what's happening? So this lamed is doing triple duty. It applies to the whole phrase. This can happen in poetry. But it was amazing to me how lehava, the le makes you feel like when you're reading, it's going to be becomes. Hava, wait, don't become a hava. It's lehava, that's a word. We finally have it on lekash. So, going back through, V'haya Yaakov, so the house of Jacob will become fire. Uveit Yosef lehava will become a flame. Uveit Esau, but the house of Esau will become, so haya le will become kash, stubble. Stubble. This is what, like, in ancient Egypt was used in the bricks, right? That's the stubble. V'daleku vahem, and will ignite them, will burn them. Oops, it's behind my notes. I'm just going to leave it behind the notes. Will set on fire vahem, them. V'achalum, and they shall consume them. This is a mem that is meaning them at the end of a word, right? When you put that at the end of the verb, that means them. Love is ahava. Ahava with an aleph. Hava, there is a word hava, but it means like, let's do it. Like, let's go. Let's do it. Like, hava nagila, hava nagila. So let's do, let's go nagila and let us rejoice. Hava nagila venismecha, and let us be sameach, let us be glad, right? So that's hava. Hava is let's do it, right? Like Nike, hava. Just do it. But ahava with an aleph, that means love. Yeah. Okay. Right. And right. To ba is to arrive. That's right. So baruch haba or baruch haba if it's a girl, right? Well, blessed is one who comes, who arrives. Yeah, very nice. No, good questions. Very good. Good. Tet reminds us that very nice, like in Psalm 1, Kosh, it makes you think of the shaft that's blown by the wind into nothing. Yeah, very nice. Lehava, flame. Smaller, smaller compared to Aish. Yes. Just a flame. Just like in English, we have a flame, right? You think of one thing flickering versus a fire. Even the sign language, right? A flame, and you have fire, right? It's many flames. Nice observation. Okay. Oh yeah, so you're kind of going from big to small to just kosh, something that's going to get burned by either one of them. Okay, hold on, I need a. We'll wait. Velo yihye sarid, and there will not be an escapee. Levate Esau from the house of Esau. Ooh, Esau's gonna get it. Esau's gonna get it. Ki Adonai diber, for Adonai has spoken. And of course, the harder word could have said amar, but it's said diber. Up above, we had amar, right? We had ko amar, and now we have diber. So it's gone from soft to strong, where we had the going from fire to flame to stubble, right? Very nice, the poetry here. Verse 19. Actually, let me real quickly, if you guys don't mind, just take a quick drink. All right, then we're back. And Shabbat's over here, so we can even turn on that good stuff. All right. Verse 19. Vayarei'u hanegev et har Eitzah. And the Negev will possess, but here possess is a plural, right? So it can't be the Negev, it can't be the region of the Negev. So it's probably the inhabitants of the Negev, right? It's a plural, the people of the Negev. The region implies the people here. Those of the Negev, they will yarash, they will possess at Har Eisal, the mountain of Eisal. And Hashephelah, the depressed, the lower regions like the valleys, although Baka is usually more like valley, but this is Hashephelah, like the depressed, the lower regions. But again, it's talking about the people, right? See, I made the same color so you can make the connection. The inhabitants of the depressions, and then the verb is doing double duty. They will yarshu, they will dispossess or possess et Plishtim, the Palestinians. The Philistines. Vayarshu et Sedei Ephraim, and they will possess the field of Ephraim. Ken yiratzon rega be'amenu. Amen, Tet. Yes, Tet says, I agree, declaring Obadiah's words as Rav reads them against the enemies of Israel today. Amen. Amen, amen. Thank you, Harrison. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, I felt led to do it, so I see why now, too. I think Ted is right. Okay. Ve'et Sedei Shomaron, and the field of Shomaron, Uvenyamin, and Benjamin, et Hagilad, and Gilad. Verse 20. Vegulat Hachel Hazeh. So this is weird, this word chayil. It's probably a dialectical form of chayil that we saw up above, right? Like, which can mean wealth or valor, like the host, right? The army host. So probably for host here. The gulat, so and pardon me, galut. The gulut, we even have this word in Yiddish. Galut is the diaspora, right? The people who've been displaced, right? And the galut of this host, livnei Israel, to the children of Israel, asher kenaanim, who are the Canaanites ad Sarafat, until, pardon me, from the Canaanites region until Sarafat, into Sarafat. Vegulat Yerushalayim, and those dispossessed from Jerusalem, so those who had been taken into the Galut of Jerusalem, Asher Bisfarad, who are in Sepharad, Yirshu et Arei HaNegev, they will possess the cities of the Negev. Ve'alu Moshi'im Bahar Tzion, and saviors will go up to Mount Zion, Lishpot et Har Eisah, to judge the mountain of Eisah. V'haita l'Adonai hamelucha, and it shall become for Adonai. So here we have the Haya plus Lamed, hamelucha, the kingdom. Very nice. So there we go. We did all of Obadiah for a Haftarah, Baruch Hashem, and very true, very prophetic to our times, these things. And please keep praying for our leaders and our soldiers, our troops, that Israel will be victorious against the wicked Iranian regime, against the wicked Gazan regime, against the wicked, all the PLO parties are pretty much evil. That Hashem will give us victory, that he will shut the mouth of the United Nations. He will fill with shame all the enemies of Israel. Okay. Apostolic writings time. You're very welcome, Harrison. Glad you guys like it. Let me just make sure that I don't miss your messages here. All right. This we're going to do in English because, you've been tortured. Not tortured, but it's kind of heavy, all the original language stuff. And we're making pretty good time, so Baruch Hashem. Oh, I just realized I didn't do the summary, but that's fine. Okay, so Matthew chapter 24, verse 15. Because you remember, early in the Torah portion, we had this word, hatila'a, that means the tribulation. And I think we have a nice gezerah shava from the Torah portion, and it's showing what's happening, where that even our brothers turn against us. They're causing trouble for us, or would-be brothers who don't want to be our brothers, even after they heard the miracles that God has done for us. And that's kind of like today. Even after all the amazing victories that God has given us, in the modern state of Israel, the amazing victories he's given, these just insane victories. I mean, even recently, Iran sends 350 drones and missiles to attack us, and only one person is injured, and it's a Muslim person. I mean, I feel bad for the child, Israeli. Don't want them to die, but there's like a message in that somewhere. That's the only one that was able to hurt somebody. They hurt their own. Not saying, actually, I don't feel good saying they hurt their own, but I mean, they hurt someone from the same religion as them. It's very strange. Very strange. It's very, I mean, even with great technology and great all this stuff, can't you see Hashem's hand in this? You don't always get great results, especially long-range intercepts. I used to work in missile defense. You don't always get good results, even if you have great algorithms. Stuff gets through. People make mistakes. There's humans in the system. So humans, they also task it. It's not all AI deciding everything. People are saying, get that, that's important, get that. There's humans in the mix making decisions what needs to be shot down. All those drones and missiles, and they didn't damage our infrastructure. All Busha, shame, the embarrassment on the spirit of Edom. How embarrassing, how humiliating. How could you possibly be a Shia and still think that your God is God after such a failure, such a colossal failure, millions and millions of dollars, probably billions wasted and lost. And we saw it coming, right? Israel announced, okay, these things are about 4 hours out, they're coming. And even, I'm told that even Jordan and Saudi Arabia helped us. It's amazing. Surely our God is God. I mean, just look at it empirically. And then we send a handful of stuff over, I was kind of disappointed with the response. I'm hoping there's more coming. Just a handful of stuff. Iran claims they shot down 3 drones, but then they say there was nothing really. Okay, if they did, they did. But they've got help from the Russians. They've got Russian air defenses, right? By the way, if you were on the fence about Russia versus Ukraine, come now. Don't you see the axis of evil? Russia, China, Iran. It's so clear. They're all pals. You got the communists that kill babies, arrest the mother. And I know they don't have the one-child policy anymore, but still there's a max. Women will get arrested and the baby will be murdered by the government against her will. You've got the invaders in Ukraine, the aggressors, and then you've got Iran. I mean, need I say anything about Iran? These guys are working together. So it just boggles the mind that some people are against helping to defend Ukraine, but then they're on the side of Israel. Well, Russia by proxy is against Israel. Russia is arming Iran, and Iran is arming Russia. They're like best pals now. And the commies are in there for the ride. It's such a strange group of bedfellows until you realize that they have the same master. I'm not saying Russian people. in Russian, there's like a way to differentiate. We're not saying Ruski, Rusiani, like the government of Russia, really. The government, the dictatorship, the murderous regime that kills reporters. It's so strange to me that in the United States right now, many conservatives kind of like Putin. They kind of want to give him a pass. They kind of want to stop funding Ukraine, defending all of Europe from his imperialist, aggressive war. What is wrong with people? How can you have such closed spiritual eyes? Get on the right side of history. Even if you think like there's something okay with Russia, I think it's just because they're so anti-gay there that I think people like conservatives sometimes they'll gravitate to that. Well, so's Gaza. I mean, so's Iran. I mean, if having something in common with you means that they're not evil, that the whole theology, the whole system's not evil, you gotta wake up. If you think that like Putin is a Christian because he had a conversion to the Orthodox, the Pravoslavnaya faith, which oppresses Protestant, which ever since he came to power, he doesn't allow missionaries anymore. They restricted the visas to 1 year. You really think this is someone who's a Christian? He's working for Christendom? Wake up, people. Wake up. Putin is the face of evil, as is Xi, as is the Ayatollahs, all the mullahs, all these guys. No. Safanovic, there's not a big problem with Nazis in the Ukraine. I lived in the Ukraine. I lived in Russia. In Russia, I saw Nazi rallies all the time in Russia. I never saw a Nazi rally in Ukraine. I would wear my yarmulke around Ukraine and nobody gave me a hard time. I wear my yarmulke in Russia, I almost got my ass kicked several times by anti-Semites. Even without the yarmulke. Okay? This is just propaganda. It's not true. Not true. The leader of the Ukraine is a Jew. How does a Jew get elected president when Nazism is a problem? This is propaganda. It's propaganda. You've been living in a dream world if you're believing this. Okay? I'm sorry, just not true. I got pals in Ukraine on the ground. I know what's going on. They're fighting for survival. Even when I was in Crimea many years ago, my friend Stan and I were followed around by these goofy Russian spies, like white suit, white, just like playing James Bond or something. These guys are following us around, so obvious. We do little things like, let's see if he follows us in the bank, they follow us in the bank. Let's see if we go back to the hotel, they come back to the hotel. It's so obvious, so that we were certain Russia would invade Ukraine. They were more clever about it. They made it look like it was just, some local movement or something, but it was so obvious. My friend Stan and I predicted within 5 years, Crimea will be stolen by the Russians. 3 years later, it was. Actually, I think it was less than 3. Yeah, no problem, Safronovitz. Don't feel bad. I hope I'm not hurting your feelings by pushing back. Okay, but I just want people to open their eyes on this. There is a steady, strange propaganda which is capturing believers so that they're supporting the modern Hitlers. There is an axis of evil, and it is Russia, China, and again, not the people, I'm not saying ethnic Chinese people or ethnic Russians, or anything like this. Okay? And we have Iranian guys in the Bnei Israel chat who love Israel and stuff like this, right? So it's not about the people. These governments are controlled by evil right now. I'm not saying that Ukraine is like the new Jerusalem or something, but when you have an aggressor, it's usually not a question who's the bad guy, right? So, all right. Concerning the tribulation, Yeshua says, right, it's governments, exactly. So please, nobody feel, I love Russian people. It's, I learned your language, right? I'm banned from Russia, actually. It's kind of funny. And they won't tell me why. Maybe it's this, because I say this stuff. So, kind of see where it's free and where it's not free, Yes. Not about the people. Please, if you're a Chinese person, or you're a Russian person, or you're Iranian, rather Persian, they like to say Persian usually when they're expats. It's not about you. This is not against you. A lot of times, expats from those countries, they realize how wicked the government is back home. It's part of why they like to leave, right? They realize those places are so evil and there's no freedom. and such. So, all right, verse 15. So when you see the abomination of desolation, this is Yeshua speaking, spoken of by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is in the housetop not go down to take what is in his house. And let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak. And alas, for women who are pregnant, and for those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on Sabbath. Look at that. Sabbath. Why would the Messiah be saying, pray that this doesn't happen on the Sabbath, if the Sabbath was crucified on the cross with him? If he expected that we would no longer be obeying his laws. Why pray about Sabbath? Who cares? My Sabbath is whenever I want it to be. So if we're being invaded right now, I choose to make my Sabbath next Thursday. And let's go. Let's get out. Yeah, well, many believers is relative, Harrison. Yeah, I mean, a minority, a small minority in all those countries, I would say. There's a small minority of Chinese, a small minority of Persians, and a small minority of Russians or believers, right? Like, we're talking like under 20% probably, More in Russia than in China and Persia for sure. I mean, per capita, right? But yeah. And actually, speaking of Chinese, to kind of back up what you're feeling, I think what you're wanting to say, the last several years, it's been amazing to see how many Chinese people are drawn to Torah, right? People who are ethnic Chinese. God is doing something with the Chinese people for sure, bringing many of them. So maybe this is what you're trying to communicate, Harrison, right? I didn't mean to kind of undercut. Oh, not majority. But there is something happening. For some reason, I don't know why, so many Chinese seem ready to accept the yoke of Torah and the testimony of Yeshua, but that is definitely a thing that's happening. Baruch Hashem. Harrison says, wow, this is so powerful, especially when we're told not to listen to people who say, there he is, right. So look, Sabbath, our own Messiah, he's warning us to pray that it doesn't happen on the Sabbath, because he knows that the faithful will be keeping the Sabbath, not any old day. For then there will be great tala'ah that we had in the Torah portion, tribulation. Here's our Gezerah Shava connection. Such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now, no, and never will be. And if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. This is the ESV, by the way. Then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead, if possible, away even the elect. See, I've told you beforehand. So if they say to you, look, he's in the wilderness, do not go out. If they say, look, he's in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the tribulation, the tala'ah of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. I wonder if this is like a post-nuclear apocalypse or something. And the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then will appear in some. By the way, many people think the stars of heaven, that these are angelic hosts, right? Fallen angels. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end to the other. In Revelation chapter 3, another Gezerah Shava concerning the tala'ah, the tribulation. Thank you, Harrison. To the angel of the Messianic, this is actually, I couldn't stand the way the ESV was translating this, so this one I resorted to Dr. Stern's translation. Dr. Stern. To the angel of the Messianic community in Philadelphia, write. Actually, hold on, I want to read what Deb says. She says, there's weird similarities between our traditions and the Torah. Has Pei ever shared with you She wasn't allowed to eat Chinese bao leavened during the Spring Festival New Year. Interesting. I have been hearing about some of those interesting ancient Chinese traditions. Yeah, that's very interesting. To the angel of the Messianic community in Philadelphia, write, here is the message of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the true one, the one who has the key of David, who if he opens something, no one else can shut it. And if he closes something, no one else can open it. I know what you're doing. Look, I have put in front of you an open door, and no one can shut it. I know that you have but little power, yet you have obeyed my message and have not disowned me. Here I will give you some from the synagogue of the adversary, those who call themselves Jews but aren't. This is the very famous, the synagogue, the synagogue of Satan, right? We could say the congregation of Satan, or the church of Satan would be fine. On the contrary, they are lying. See, I will cause them to come and prostrate themselves down at your feet, and they will know that I have loved you. And finally, finishing up, because you did obey my message about persevering, I will keep you from the time of trial coming upon the whole earth, the whole world, to put the people living on earth to the test. I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take away your crown. I will make him who wins the victory a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will never leave it. Also, I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of my God's city, the new Yerushalayim, coming down out of heaven from my God, and my own new name. Those who have ears, let them hear what the Spirit is saying to the Messianic communities. Hope everybody is hearing. In years past, those of you here at Simchat Hashem with us, you know that I always kind of poo-pooed the idea that the end is near and all that kind of stuff. I always thought, no, hundreds of years from now. But the way that things have been going in these modern times, I do think it's possible that it could be in our lifetimes. It's possible. We've seen an acceleration of events. We've seen an acceleration of the hatred of Jews, of Bnei Israel, of Israel, by all kinds of people. We saw people marching on the street and protesting on October 7th, before Israel even responded, in support of Hamas in the West. And we saw this garbage tolerated by even immigrants to the UK, where there's actually laws in the book that you can't do this sort of thing. And in the States, I don't think we have. Oh yeah, you can't march in support of a terrorist organization. Yeah, that's a valid reason to be denied citizenship. But the governments don't have the will, because the prince of the air is ruling the institutions now. Yes, Safanovic says things are happening very quickly. I agree. Harrison says stand, and having done so, stand. Yes, absolutely. Which can map to the Hebrew, hit not save, to take your stand, right? That thing that this thing that we're taught in the Machulta, the Mechilta, the Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, that when you see that word, it means the Holy Spirit is there. So when we take our stand, the Holy Spirit is with us. And I want to remind you, friends, that we, just as Moshe shared about the hatala'ah, the tribulation that the people had gone through, we too, if we are alive in those days, will go through the tribulation. We will have to persevere. Yeshua said, because you persevered, you obeyed my message about persevering. Up above, verse 10. There's not an early pre-tribulation rapture. We have to persevere. To the one who is nikonti doso, it says in the Greek, to the one who is victorious, I shall give. We have to be victorious. Oi. I'll just let it be. Let it be, let it be. Okay, move it all the way. So friends, please start training yourselves for the Tala'ah. We have Pesach coming up. We're going to be celebrating the festival of freedom, freedom from Egypt and freedom from sin. And make sure to get all the comments out of your house. This is not just like an echo of a holiday. Many Messianics are lazy about Passover, embarrassingly lazy. Some will even eat sandwiches. Oh, because Yeshua's my Passover lamb. I can do what I want to do. He's my lamb. Stop it. Stop it. Persevere. Persevere. Don't make his blood cheap. Live like heaven is a real place. Let's live like we truly want to honor his name, honor our God, and honor his son, the Mashiach. Harrison says we call the crapture so misleading. Yes. So what I'm going to do now, I'm sorry, I can't show the words on the screen because I'm having a PowerPoint issue, but let me just turn off the camera here, and I want to bless you guys. Yes, Alfred says, Adon Yeshua says, for many are called, but few are chosen. It's so true. And it's a very narrow path. And there are very many people that think they're going to heaven, and they're going to be shocked and surprised. We have to have the right kind of faith attitude, a faith life in our Mashiach, so that even when hatala'ah, even when the tribulation comes, we will make the right choices. We won't give in to just being hungry or having pity for our family members who are hungry. We won't bow the knee. We won't bend to the Babylonian system. Ein lanu kohen, ein lanu levi. Ha'aseh et habracha hazot acharei seder malchi tzedek. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panai velecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panai velecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shavuot Tov, everybody. You guys have a great week ahead. Get ready for Pesach on Monday night. We'll have Pesach, and if you're in the West, you can join us when we do that. Check out the Hebrew Literacy or the Bnei Israel chat and our YouTube channel. We will keep you informed. Shalom, shalom.